We're back. Back for more, guys. As I promised yesterday, we'd have my good buddy Brad Trahan here. This is my first kind of installment of, I'm going to leave this here, of people making a difference like yourself. I know you're a humble guy and you probably don't like me saying that about you. But Brad is truly a guy who's making a difference in this Rochester community. Before we get into the nitty gritty stuff, just want to give some quick shout outs to some local businesses in town here. One business in town who I haven't shouted out yet, and I brought the water bottle. I had to bring it. Is the Rochester Swim Orcas. They're a swim club team here in town. They're doing great things. If you need your kids to get lessons, want to be involved in a team, anything like that, look them up online. Google their name. They're the Rochester Swim Orcas. Another shout out that I gave yesterday involves a family in Wright County, Minnesota. They lost their young girl named Callan, I believe, Kallan. She lost her battle. She developed E. coli. It's under investigation right now, but they believe she developed this disease, this kidney disease, from going to a petting zoo. It's a very tough deal. The family's actually laying her to rest today. So if you want to buy these bracelets to support the family in any way, contact me, message me on here on my Facebook, and we'll get you on. They're $3 a piece. You can get them adult. You can get them youth, anything that you would like. So we are stationed here today, guys, at the Express Employment. This is Brad's employment place. Just kind of give your quick shout-outs, and then we'll get into it, buddy.
Yeah, certainly been with Express Karsen for coming up on 6 years now, doing professional direct hire staffing, kind of have geographical range really all the way from western Wisconsin all the way to Waseca. Just a staffing model that we have. We have various staffing models: evaluation to hire, contract, and professional search. And I've been doing that for the 6 years and absolutely love it. Express has been a fantastic employer to me, and even through the personal situations that we've gone through with our son, there's just a great joy being able to help people put food on the table and a roof over their head, and work for a company that truly has a great vision and mission to do the same. Got fantastic colleagues that I work with, and it fits me well because we all care about people and we care about helping people, and that's exactly what Express does each and every day. So I'm very honored and humbled and appreciative to work for a company such as Express Employment Professionals.
I think it's fun, too, probably working with the local businesses, the bigger businesses, and then getting those people the jobs, right? And to see their growth and to see the smile on their face when you put, again, food on the table, you put a roof over their head, and you make them money. And that's, awesome.
It really is. And, we're in a tight labor market right now. Unemployment's pretty low, and if you go all around Rochester right now, there's a lot of people looking for work. And sometimes we may get a call saying, I'm looking for such and such, do you have a candidate? Well, it's really important for us, and what sets us apart from other staffing agencies, in my opinion, is that we want to learn about that company. What are your needs? What's worked in the past? Hasn't worked in the past? What are core responsibilities? What are the long-term opportunities? What's attractive about this job? What's not attractive by this job? Once we learn all that information from a client, and then when we're working with our candidates, by bringing those two people and those two entities together, we usually have really great long-term fits. So that's what's really important. But yeah, we have great clients in town, and anything we can do to help and grow businesses with great top-tier candidates, we really want to be involved with that.
And you've had other jobs in the past. We won't get into those jobs, but why do you love this job here at Express?
My history it's really coming down to making a difference and helping people's lives. I've obviously been around autism for 14 plus years and been touched by many families who've gone through so many emotional, financial, physical struggles, and I don't like seeing people hurt in Karsen. It's just when I see people sad, hurting, whatever. If I can make a difference doing that, I want to change that. Where Express fits me so well is, there's some people that have been maybe gone through a reorganization within their company and they're laid off. They're going from a job that was full-time work and great benefits to nothing. We got some people that may have had some hiccups in the past, and after they've paid their dues, so to say, we're able to help them get back on their feet and get them a job. And, food on the table, utilities, and you want to go out and have fun too. Life isn't just about always working, and so if we're able to help individuals like that, and then in a sense help our companies, that's why it's such a good fit for not only me but my colleagues that I work with. We all have the same passion. There's certainly frustrations in every job, and and you do what you can. But when I'm working around the people that I'm working with that has that same passion and dedication to make a difference in the people's lives and for our companies, that's what I thrive about so much.
Let's get to, I mean, you've made a strong impact in Southeast, even in Minnesota. I mean, up at the state legislature, I'm doing great things for the autism community. You really have. You've been, people know you around the state. They know your face. They know who you are. Let's take a step back from that, though, and kind of describe to me your son, when he was born, when you guys found out. Just take me from step one, if you could, to get us to, where we're at today. I know it's a long story, but just start with me from square one, when Reese was born, and just kind of take me through that, because some people watching might not know your son.
Yeah, Reese was our second child. We had another son, Brendan, who just actually graduated from Rochester Lourdes. Got to give a shout out. State football champion, starting fullback, and what a great group of people, great coaching staff, great system, just a great experience. And so I'm very happy for Brendan in that process. But Brendan developed just fine. We had Reese 18 months later, and really no complications. But the county would send you questionnaires about how your child is developing. It's just kind of check-ins, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and you have a list of things that you can check off that they're doing or they're not doing. And I was doing these, and I could tell that I was answering no to several of these things. So in my head, I knew something wasn't right. I knew even before that paperwork something wasn't right. But as a parent, you're thinking, okay, they'll break out of it, things like that. So finally, we got the final notice that said our son had failed in so many aspects of it. And I'm a person, Karsen, that quite honestly I don't believe in failures. We all have different skill sets, different levels, and things like that. But I don't believe in the word fail. So I called him, and I was quite upset and told him how I felt about it. But a part of it, in all fairness to them, is they didn't mean anything mean by it. It was just being
wrong, maybe the wrong word.
Word. It was just, but I knew it myself too. So we decided we're going to get him checked out. When we originally got Reese checked out, we were just told he's going to be okay. Boys develop later than girls, nothing to worry about. We were out to eat at a local restaurant one night, and Reese let the whole restaurant know he was there. I mean, we were getting looks from people, Karsen, that were just control your kid and this, and it was just brutal. And I looked at my wife, Joni, of 20 years, and who I love very much, who's been really the rock of our family too, is that we got to get this checked out more. So we proceeded with the process, and to get a diagnosis for autism, Karsen, it's not a blood test, it's not an MRI scan, it's not a CT scan, it's a process of going through occupational therapy, physical therapy, hearing. There's a whole behavioral testing. And then on January 23rd, in the doctor's office, we were notified that Reese was diagnosed with a very severe autism and moderate mental retardation. And it really changed at that point the course of our lives.
Mm-hmm. How has Reese, I mean, you would never want it any other way. He's impacted you and your wife and your kids. There's good days, there's bad days with any kids. I mean, really, my parents probably watching this, I drove them nuts some days, you know what I mean? Tell me what life is like in the Trahan household.
Each day is a different day. It's weird because I self-admit, Karsen, I'm always going to be bitter about autism. Always going to be bitter about it. And just talking to close friends like my boss here, Jeff Jensen, expressing there's been some tough days personally, and just some true advocates I have in the community. And it's just they give you that extra strength to get through, because while I'm bitter about autism, I'm reminded that I guess there is a reason for it. No, I wouldn't change it any other way. And I don't know why things have happened the way they've happened. It's been a journey. I guess I look at that before Reese was diagnosed, I was a state high school basketball official for 17 years and was honored to work 10 state tournaments. And I look through those days, too, and I look at the mentorship that I got from the John Springers, the Larry Teskes, the Lauren Elses, the Jerry Kittlesons. I look at all the people I was surrounded with at that time, because when you're a basketball referee, it doesn't always go well there either. And you just learn to cope with different situations at different times. I think they would tell you that early on, I was quick to maybe tease somebody up. But as I grew within the industry and grew within that skill set, it's just a part of life, and you go at it. I wonder, did that prep me for this? I would sit here and tell you today that if I would have known I had a child with autism, that never would I have had the patience for that. But it's your son, it's your child, and there are many good days. There are many good days, but there are some days that are quite tense. I've always said this in my many public speaking engagements, is that autism dictates what you do, how you do it, when you do it, or if you do it at all. And we had a choice when Reese was diagnosed that Joan and I could have said, we're going to feel sorry for ourselves and go that route, or we thought, how can we make a difference? And through the struggles, we said, we're going to try and make a difference. And I think we've done a good job, but I have to make sure that everybody understands that while my face may be known in the state and taken on legislative things and chaired the Minnesota Autism Task Force, there isn't one thing that Brad Trahan or the Tran family has done that did not involve friend, community, media, and community support. This has been an all-in effort by everybody. So when we talk about successes as it relates to autism, it's really successes that we all can share together.
And talk to me, you mentioned the legislature and things that you've done. Again, people making a difference. That's what I called this kind of segment here is, tell me what you've all done. Talk about Project Lifesaver, right? And that's so huge, and that's actually, it's saved kids. It's found kids in the state.
Yeah, and we started legislation with the support of Senator Dave Sendrum and then Representative Kim Norton, who are great advocates and great people. We started an autism task force on the Senate side. It went to then we had to pass legislation to get to the House and the Senate. We passed legislation for notification of alleged maltreatment to not only individuals with autism but anybody in schools, to give the district a little bit more leeway to let parents know what's going on. We passed private health insurance in the state of Minnesota. That wasn't part of the task force, but it was noted. The task force itself, we came up with an awesome strategy mandated by the governor of Minnesota of things that we really have to watch out for. And then, it's Project Lifesaver, 2007, with the support of then Sheriff Steve Borkhardt, a great visionary. And we brought this to him because I was on a search with on a case where a young boy in Wisconsin was found missing, or he was missing, and I called about it. And it was only 2.5, 3 hours away, so I went and did the search, and it got called off due to the weather. When I got there the next day, everyone was rallied together and went out on the search, and actually I was on that search with his dad at the time. And when we came back after a couple hours and getting a bite to eat and something to drink, and then an experienced deputy, brought everyone in together and broke down and cried. And they found Benji dead in a pond just not far from his home. And to see that emotion, my gosh, it was crazy. I mean, to see the family across the streets, because that's where the command center was at, to see the emotion of everyone hugging one another and no one knows each other, and then to see another lead police officer go behind his truck and broke down and cried. And I followed him, and I said, you know what? You did the best you could. And through the breaking up of his emotion, he said, not good enough. So long drive back, sought out Sheriff Borkhardt and said, you know what? I've done some research. What's your thoughts? And he said, you know what, Brad? I'm all for it. We've looked at this before, but we need the funding. I said, if I can come up with the funding, would you support it? And again, through community support, we came up with $15,000, got the program going, and we started Project Lifesaver here in Olmsted County. And from that, with more support, we started up in more southeastern Minnesota counties. And then just a couple of years ago, with the support of Senator Sendrum and Representative Norton, we passed a Lifesaver technology grant in the amount of $80,000 for all state of Minnesota and got more agencies on board. It is life-saving. It's when you have these individuals, no matter if it's autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, that are vulnerable to go out and wander away, and we have a tool that allows our public safety with law enforcement and police and fire to track these individuals up to 1 to 2 miles on the ground and in the air, and then bringing the loved ones home. I mean, it really doesn't get better than that, because it is saving lives. And I've been serving on the Project Lifesaver Board of Trusted Directors since 2009, and just very impressed with everything that's going on. Great leadership. And I get stories every day. I get emails every day of agencies that are finding people, finding vulnerable ones, and I can't get enough of them. Because you know what? Without this technology, and in all things, Karsen, we can't guarantee anything, but it's had a huge success rate. There's not been one fatality since 1999, so that's a pretty good batting average if you're looking at me. And just a couple years back, I was down at a conference, and I spent time speaking to one of the attendees in Atlanta, Georgia. Their homicide division actually is part of the Project Lifesaver team. And it struck me because they were so jazzed up about it. So many times these detectives are investigating homicides and tragedies and whatnot. So to have something like this where they can actually find loved ones and bring them home alive, to me, if I was a police officer, that'd be a heck of a therapy for me.
Yeah, a balance. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is a balance. It's again working the homicides. That those will never go away, especially in a bigger city. And then to have you bringing that loved one, you tracking that person who went missing back to their mom or dad, loved one, whoever, is just amazing. Talk to me about the group of autism families in this community, and talk to me more of Rochester, Southeast Minnesota, and how you guys are probably a network.
You know it is, and earlier on, we did tons of networking and whatnot. I think, quite honestly, Carson, it's those same individuals that are diagnosed with autism and same families that go through this each and every day is probably actually what gave me a lot of inspiration to move this thing forward. You know, I've been with families at 2 in the morning, been involved in family struggles, if it's the financials, if it's the emotion of it, and I walk away thinking, you know what? Am I doing enough? And am I making a big enough difference? I mean, the families and these individuals are just incredible people. Great strength. 80% of our families that have a child with autism have their marriage split up. So there's a lot of single parents out there. There's single parents out there that have two kids with autism. And I think what it is, and there's some social media websites where parents are pounding ideas off one another. And I'll tell you what it comes down to is when you get the diagnosis with the autism as a parent, you are looking for anything and everything possible to make life easier for your child and yourselves. And I think the biggest thing is if we all can work together, understand one another, know two kids are alike, but the families are just wonderful people. So these families, when you're diagnosed with autism, you don't have only the day-to-day issues with autism. You have other kids you have to watch out for. The balancing act that Joni and I have had to do with Brennan and Peyton has been tremendous. We always want to make sure that we're going to get to attend their school events and their conferences. I think in all of our years that I think I've only missed 2 conferences. Joni and I believe to do this together as a team because their education, their life bringing, what's important to them is just as important for us because at the end of the day, as real as this is, Joni and I won't be around. Reese's care is going to be overseen by Brennan and Peyton, and that's the pressure that some of our siblings face. But then we literally have to prepare them that as we go forward. We've had these talks with our kids already, because as we know, life is too short. We never know what's going to happen. So we've had tough talks with Brennan and Peyton. I regret autism. I'm bitter about autism because I've seen Brennan and Peyton have to grow up too fast. I see that with all of our siblings. But you got the day-to-day issues with autism. You have to deal with maybe public school issues. You have to deal with social services and the county type stuff to get your kids on special waivers or grants. I mean, the paperwork is just tremendous. And so there's a great amount of stress amongst our families. But I'm going to tell you one thing. There's also one other thing that I think sets us apart. There's a great amount of compassion, love, and tenacity. I mean, I don't know if I've yet to meet a parent with a child with autism that doesn't have that tenacity to make a difference. So it's a blessed community to be around, but there are a lot of aches and pains that I wish would go away sooner than later.
And the reason I wanted to bring you on this too is because, I don't want to, hear, or I want to hear about the struggles. I want to hear about the positive times, but I don't want people, and I know you don't want people to feel sorry for you, but I want people to know what it's like because I want to be a parent someday and I might be in your shoes. I don't know what's going to happen. And I want to be ready for it. And I think this gives people the opportunity to know what it's like to raise a kid who has autism. I think it's an interesting topic. Kind of talk to me, if you would, about the struggles, because you have them. Let people know what it's like during the harder times.
Yeah, it's tough. I didn't know how we were going to make it. I really didn't. We're at a diagnosis right now of 1 in 68. So I think what Joni and I decided to do early on with this is to be just simply real and truthful. I mean, I want to be an honest, transparent person. That's the way it is. And autism, if you were to take all those 17 years of basketball games I reffed and you put every single one of those games into one game, not even close to how hard dealing with the day-to-day life struggles with autism. You're right, Carson. We don't want sympathy one bit. Not at all. We as families do need empathy. We need people to understand that when we're out in the community, if one of our kids has a meltdown, we're not bad parents. We need school officials to understand that, hey, if we have a little bit of a hiccup with an IEP or things like that, we're not mad at you. We just want to get on the same page. We want people to understand that, if we go to church separately or sporting events separately, that, we're not We're not in domestic issues with our relationships with our significant other. It's just that autism dictates what you do and where you go. But the struggles have been real. I tell you what, at one point when Reese was diagnosed, our insurance provider did not provide the medically diagnosed insurance. And I then cashed out my retirement from my former employer. And, quite honestly, it's no secret, it was Mayo Clinic. I spent 6 years in Mayo Security, 4-year Mayo Credit Union. I reiterate, Mayo Clinic is the fantastic medical facility. They always will be. As it worked out with this, they needed a lot of work with autism. So I was forced to cash out retirement, which I got taxed at that time. And then when we turned in our W-2s, we got taxed again. So early on, the finances were tough. I really did. I come from a collections background. I thought we had to take Reese off his therapy because we had to make a decision: are we going to keep a roof over our head and food on the table, or stop his therapy? And I just knew we had to stop his therapy. So those struggles, parents worry about the finances. Right now, as it's set up in the state of Minnesota, the other thing I'm bitter about autism and just in society in general is that sometimes when you're a married couple and you're both working, you have a child with a disability, you can get taxed pretty well. I mean, just there's a lot that comes at you. And none of these kids had the choice to be diagnosed with autism. None of these parents had the choice to have this. And what we try and do as parents is to give our children every resource possible to improve the quality of their life. The struggles have been real financially. The struggles have been real emotionally. I left my church for a year when Reese was diagnosed. Didn't want nothing to do with my church. Got back into, because ironically the same faith I left is the same faith I needed to carry me throughout this. It's a grieving process. You really do. When you're dealing with autism, you literally have to have a plan A, B, C, and D. If you go out and about and all of a sudden Reese sees a mascot, he's going to freak out on you. Fireworks. Gunshots. I mean, we were at Peyton's softball game this past summer. Everything's going good. Well, and this was in Dodge Center, but not far from where she played was a gun shooting range. Yep. And so they're just practicing. He heard that. He was done. I had to get him to the car. So these are things that families just have to face. Some of our kids have dieting issues. Some of them have GI issues. Reese is nonverbal. 50% of our kids are nonverbal. As I mentioned before doing this segment, Reese has a unknown allergy that he's battling, and he just had a situation last week where it was 5 days of great intensity. He was in so much pain and that he literally took a first aid cream out of our medicine drawer and tried to eat it. Now, as a parent, to see that, Karsen, you feel so helpless. You feel hurt. And he reacts, and all we can do is give him a kiss on the forehead, say, you know what, we love you, buddy. We're going to take care of you. So those are the real things that families face day in and day out. And I do want to say, after 13 years and 8 months of advocating hard for self-insurance companies like Mayo Clinic, they did change their plan January 1st of this year. So now they are providing that coverage to employee dependents for that ABA therapy. And ironically, soon thereafter, I got contacted by a Mayo employee that their child was being denied. So I walked them through that appeal process, and I would learn from that family member that it was overturned and that child's being covered. So I think the biggest thing I want to share about this is, if people in the community see me out and about, maybe I'm a little quiet one day or maybe not myself one day, it's nothing personal. It's just our parents, our guardians have so much going on in their thought process. It's a demanding lifestyle, because I also work full-time. I'm a full-time dad, full-time husband. I don't believe in going back to sympathy and empathy. Just because we got this going on with Reese and as parents, I have to give back to the community. I'm going to attend to other functions. I'm going to support other causes, because that's what you just do as a community member. So I don't want all the focus just to be on autism. I want to make sure that we're doing our best. Sometimes we can't do it as much as we would like to financially, but if we can volunteer time here, we can volunteer time there, do whatever we can to show people that we truly care about this community and everything else that everyone goes on, that's what we really want to do.
I think people know that, Brad. The struggles are real, is what you said, and you talked about you and your wife. How do you guys, especially when it's hard times, maybe you guys struggle too as a couple, maybe or maybe not. How do you guys stay strong? How do you do it? Because like you mentioned, 80% couples, they don't. How do you remain that 20% that can just stay strong together?
I think people will tell you, I'll be honest with you, I have the best wife. I do, and I think every husband should say that about their wife. But I love Joni a lot, and we have a great relationship. 20 years, 22 years together, 20 years married. Um, Frankly, we don't have difficulties. We don't. We talk things out, and sometimes, just like in every typical life, things we get frustrating. But we've been on the same page. She knows when I need a break. I know when she needs a break. She's a fantastic cardiac surgical nurse, and she has a great group of core employees that she works with, loving people. Tell her, go do your fun with them. Make sure you get that in. I'm allowed to do that. So the fact that we really don't get true respite care because the cost for parental fees are up to $900, $1,000 a month for us, and we can't afford that. We make sure we take care of one another. But I think what it comes down to it is that we're both in this together. We recognize it. We've actually had people say that have gone through separations and divorces without a child with a disability. They will say to us, I'm embarrassed because my marriage didn't work. How do you guys do it? And my reply is simple, is that we're not going to judge any one couple or any one situation. We want to take care of what's going on under our roof. And if we could provide support for other people for whatever they're going through, we're going to do that. I think sometimes as society we become too judgmental right away. I'd rather let's be supportive rather than judgmental. And I'm just fortunate that I have Joni because she has done a great job. She's a great mom, a great wife. And I think we know that we just communicate with one another. If it's coordinating schedules, going to doctor's appointments, going to school conferences. The bottom line is we have a philosophy, and Brendan and Peyton will tell you this. It's called no laters in our house. When he graduated from high school, he had to have his thank yous all done in about 2.5 to 3 weeks, and he got them done, and he felt great about it. Handwritten thank yous. But if we have no laters, so we know what we have to do, we get it done, and we communicate, and it's worked out well. Under the circumstances, it worked out very well, and I'm fortunate. She's been an awesome wife, and I'm sure she'd tell you there's probably frustrations. I'm probably not an easy guy to live with, and whatnot. But I think that the fact is that she rocks, and there's a lot of passion our family has. There really is. And what's important also for Joni and I with this cause with autism, it's important for us to show Brendan and Peyton that it's important to give back to the community. It's important to have a hard work ethic. It's important to have passion about a cause and go about it the right way. We're examples for them as parents. And I think we've done an okay job because they've been fantastic kids. But not only are we trying to set an example how to live a married life, we want to set an example for Brennan and Peyton that this is what it's like to be parents as well, to make sure that we're attending your sporting events, attending your concerts, attending the awards programs, attending doctor's appointments, giving back to the community. So our marriage is based more on a bigger picture than just autism, and it's based on what can we do for a community that has been so good to us, and that's what we try and base our marriage on. And of course, our faith is very important to us. It's really important. Prayer has been important to us. We as a family have seen a lot. Matter of fact, I shared a story not too long ago where we supported a young man from a couple of years ago from Texas that was going through a Totus Tuus program and through our church, and he saw everything that we had done with autism. He comes back into our kitchen, and Zach said, geez, can I talk to you? He goes, I have Asperger's. It's in our autism family, and growing up, I struggled in this and that. And we bonfired, and we grilled out, and he had a good week. And then the last day they could go tour Rochester, and they didn't. They stayed back with our family. And he was so excited to go back to Texas to see his mom and dad for the July 4th weekend. Did that, comes back. And in Missouri, hit a water patch. His vehicle went into a ravine, and he died.
Oh, my gosh.
And witnesses said that he tried to get out. And I'll never forget, going over this just 2 weeks prior, Zach is at our kitchen table, sharing his stories, and vibrant. And 2 weeks later, as Brendan said, Dad, how can it be? Zach was sitting right there, and now he's dead. And so faith is important to us. There's a lot of questions I don't know why. We'll never know why. But I have to fall back on it sometimes when I have my down days. And I do, people. I have my down days.
Like anybody.
Yeah, and I do. And I try not to show it. Here's what I understand, Karsen. I feel I have to be a rock. I have to be a rock. I do know I got a lot of people counting on me for many things. I'm never going to turn my back on one family or one parent with this. I take my own personal time to digest, sort, and I have a few people I can confide in because I do have my down days. But I think what's important is this, is that we all in life go through adversity of some sort. It could be autism. It could be losing a loved one. It could be something. We're all going to go through it. But if you dig down deep enough, if you dig down far enough, we can all overcome it. We all can learn from things, but we all have it within us to overcome it. And that's what's really important. And I just want people to know if the Trahan family can do anything to anyone out there to help them. I don't care if it's not even autism related. If it's something that we can be in here, because it's about we need to bring people together, support one another, we're certainly going to do that.
Especially in these times too.
It is.
Especially, and I wanted to quickly bring up your children too, and how big of a role they play in your family, with the three, but more with Brendan and Peyton, and how they are so willing and so I'm blanking on the word. They recognize that parents they maybe can't be there. They know. I mean, they get it, right? I met your kids. They're both very articulate and very well versed. Describe to me how they've played such a huge role in this too, and that they understand what is going on.
Yeah, it's tough. If I get a little emotional, so are you guys, so are you. But
I might too. So
I tell you what, I just love my kids big time. Brendan and Peyton, and I do. The love is deep. To see things that they've had to see is just really. It's kind of tough on a parent, but you know what? They're rocks. Brendan is such a rock, and he handles things differently. Doesn't talk much about it, but he gets it. He's really proud. Let me tell you something about Brendan. So proud of Reese that when Brendan turned 18, he said, "You know what, Dad?" Because I have a tattoo of the autism ribbon around my right arm, and I have a logo on my left arm because it's going to go to my grave with me. He said, "Dad, I want to do that something similar." And I said, "You're 18, and I get it." And so he did it. He put my brother's keeper over his heart, and he has RT on his side. Reese will be going to Brendan's grave one day with him too. And Peyton, I mean, she knew it from the younger days. So protective of Reese. Reese had a medical situation one point, and Joni was working because she worked straight nights, and Brendan stayed up with me up in the bedroom area, and then Peyton had to be the one to go down and bring in Go Across and the police. And at first, Peyton was super emotional, and I said, Peyton, I just need you to toughen up right now. You got a big role to play. She went into game mode, and she did a great job. And they love their brother a great deal. I think they wish they could do more, but to have Reese sandwiched in between the two of them, he's pretty fortunate. The one thing that the one thing I can't control, but I know what's going to happen is, again, one day Joni and I won't be here, and I want to make sure that, and I know with Brendan and Peyton he will be, but he's well taken care of. I mean, it's just he will be. I want Brendan and Peyton to make sure they have their own lives as they grow older. Brendan's on track to be going in the Air Force here, and certainly going to miss that relationship because it's a father-son deal, man. Mm-hmm. It's a father-son deal, and it's different with Brendan than Reese because of Reese's situation. But I think so many parents out there love their kids so much, and I learned it, and I'm just blessed to have the kids. They've been great in school. They've been great around the house. There's times that if Joni and I are coming and going, Brendan stayed put to make sure that Reese is fine. So they're heroes. Brendan and Peyton are flat out heroes, in my opinion, and I'm just blessed they're my kids.
Mm-hmm. Again, Brendan, he's going to the Air Force. That doesn't surprise me, the kind of kid that he is. Peyton's, again, younger than Reese. You're saying kind of goodbye-ish to Brendan. That's the huge step as the empty nesters slowly get empty nesters, right? Describe to me the Reese deal. I know you don't have to get into details if you don't want to, but you're going to have to, it's the same deal. It's about being a parent. It's about growing up, and it's crazy to think how quickly Brendan, he graduated this year. I mean, that was nuts. Yep. But Reese is next, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Reese. First of all, I do want to give a shout out to the Rochester Public Schools. Reese has been in the public school system since kindergarten, early childhood, and I know there's hiccups from time to time, but that's just life. Yeah. But our experience with Rochester Public Schools, for the most part, has been very, very positive. I've been on the advocacy side. I've had to get involved in things that they get a little tight and tenacious, whatnot. But overall, we have found them to be very good for Reese, and really, frankly, good for our autism community. So I do appreciate everything that Rochester Public Schools has done. Reese is now going to be a junior at Century High School, and he'll be there for another couple of years. The game plan at that point, Karsen, is that and working with his Olmsted County Social Services agent. Actually, this fall or next January, I begin classes because when Reese turns 18 in April, that Joni and I will be submitting to the courts to maintain his guardianship. Two ways you can do it. You can have an attorney do it, but quite honestly, we don't have the $3,000 to $4,000 it's going to take to do that. So I'll take classes in January to petition the court and go through that process, so at least we'll maintain guardianship. In 2 years, when he's done at Century, that's the target date that we'll probably be looking for Reese to be probably put in some type of a group home. Mm-hmm. He'll be almost 19 and a half at that point. He's getting bigger and stronger. And that will be, do we know that's important to do? We do. Will it be an emotional day? Big time. Big time. And so that's the game plan. But we're fortunate that we have a good system around this Rochester, Olmsted County area. It'll be something that'll be in this area. And then Reese will continue to work, kind of develop a work skill set. Yeah. What could he do out in the community? Right now at Century, we saw a video. It was so cool, Karsen, is that the teachers would sit out their papers to be recycled. So Reese would tip over a cart, and it's a bin like a trash can bin. Yeah. He would tip it over and wheel it down the hallway. When they'd stop at a classroom, he'd open up the lid. Another student would throw the paper in there. Reese would laugh his head off. He'd shut it up and roll it back. So it's these skill sets. I mean, he's never spoken, but he knows that he's giving something back. He's providing worth. And so that's the game plan as we sit right now. Here's the other reason being is at that point, Peyton will be a junior. And we don't want to miss her things, because right now, Joni, and people will tell you that know us, we have to tag team a lot. I mean, rarely are we at events together. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it happens, but it's rare. And we just feel it's also important. We don't want to miss anything out on Peyton, because with her last 2 years and she graduates, it's a whole nother thing. So we just juggle that. But I'm dreading the day that it happens with Reese, but we are understanding that it's probably good for him. It'll probably be good for us. Joni and I have not had a vacation ever together, ever. Yeah. We really have. Well, when we got married, we had a honeymoon, but that was it. So we talked about this at a bonfire. As you know, we like to have bonfires. Yeah. I love them. Post them on Facebook.
Next number, you better invite me to number 40.
Yeah, tonight will be 42.
Oh, whoa, we're getting up there. Yeah, okay.
So, but we have a goal. So our one goal is we eventually down the road want to do an Alaskan cruise. Joni wants to go to New York, and then I want to take a trip out west and go see like Montana and Wyoming. Just take a trip out west and just see the nature like I've never seen it. That's on our bucket list between now.
My mother and father-in-law to be, they did the Alaskan. They loved it. They loved the Alaskan cruise. Loved it.
Good. We're looking forward to it. Those are the three things. And now we're probably not the best vacationers because we just don't do it. I take it back. We did win a trip through work here to Jamaica, so we were gone for 2 days there. But and even stuff like that, you know what? We really had to make sure our will was updated. If something happens and we're gone, there was more stress planning that. To be honest with you, Karsen, that there was so much pressure planning just being gone those 2 days. Like, if something happened, where would the kids go? Right. So we said, we're done with that. We're going to wait till everyone's gone. And so we're not the best vacationers because we don't do it. But I'll tell you what, we love our driveway. We love bonfires. Mm-hmm. I love seeing people post pictures of bonfires. So that's pretty much our entertainment. And we're simple people that way.
Yeah. Anything else, Brad, that you just want to say? Again, I just want to thank you for doing this. I know, I got you a little emotional here, and I knew it was going to just because it's an emotional topic and it's very special to you. But anything else that, I mean, again, you even mentioned if anybody ever wants any help to reach out to you guys. You guys are, you even always say it to me, I'm part of your family, and I appreciate that too. Me moving down here, and I was connected to you guys, and I still am and always will be, but I appreciate that. Anything else that you want to say to anybody that will see this today?
Well, first of all, thanks for doing this. I think this is a cool segment because, quite honestly, our community, our county, southeastern Minnesota, it takes all of us to work together. So many people provide such an impactful resource and giving back. We're one piece of the puzzle to a much larger puzzle. I just appreciate this opportunity. I really want people to understand, too, that there has been a lot of good things and success with autism, but it's just really never achieved by any one person. I know when Joni and I got married, my brother said, you and Joni will achieve so much together, working together as one, than any one person can do on their own. And I think as a broader sense, as we as a community think of everything that goes on, if it's in the arts, if it's in health, if it's in athletics, whatnot, is the bigger picture is we all have to work together. I'm concerned about all the turmoil going on, the violence going on. Mm-hmm. That bothers me. Sometimes you have to get away from it a little bit. I think there's more peace and happiness is better than violence and arguing. We are so thankful for this community. There's many days I didn't know if I could keep going, if I just had to shut her down and couldn't create this advocacy because it was pretty intense as far as everything you have to do. There's been so many people there. I can't even name the names because I don't want to leave anyone out. But to my family, to my friends, to this community, to things that you've done, KAL, the media has been just fantastic to us, getting the word out. It's truly been a cause that has really, truly been a team effort. And I think that's what the focus is on. I get so uncomfortable if I want to be recognized for this and that because it's just not me. It's not. I don't like that at all. It's my wife's been there, my kids have been there, the family and friends, and it's truly been a team effort. To the new families that are going to be diagnosed, and you will be, we did a great speaking engagement at Lourdes this past year, and those kids went out and raised $1,500, and they got a private donation. I want to give them a shout out, Andy Shafolius, and we're sending a Project Lifesaver team for training this actually later this month. But to the new families out there that are going to be diagnosed, just take it day at a time. I think that's what we have to kind of do with life in general, that whatever news we get that may be adverse, just get through that moment, get through that time. I know early on when I looked at the big picture, Karsen, it got so overwhelming. I just was bouncing all over the walls. But when I really started simplifying the process and getting through today and then through the week and whatnot, here we're 14 years later. I can say my health is great. I'm a little overweight because my wife cooks good, and then she puts that dryer on high.
Oh, dang it, Johnny.
My pants, I tell you that. But overall, my health is great. I feel good. I'm energetic. I'm a person that I'm going to tell you what I think. I mean, sometimes it's not politically correct, but so my passion is high. People know that about me and my community. But at the end of the day, it's just getting people across the table to communicate and talk. Social media is good. But sometimes on the issues, you really have to sit down and talk across the table, work them out. And when you start doing that, good things happen. And that's what I try and do. I've had to have some tough discussions with some parents. Some parents were making some unrealistic requests from time to time. And I have to be real, saying that's not what you're going to be able to achieve at this time. Not that it can't be done at a later date, but let's take the small steps. And if we do that in life, we'll be fine. But we've just been very fortunate to live in this community, the support we have and the family we have and the friends we have. And thanks is just, I know thanks isn't enough. Yeah. But any new parent out there will be there for you. I mean, if there's a situation, I've spent many times with dads in coffee shops just talking. There's been a lot of tears shed throughout the years. And I think the biggest thing, and it's weird I can close with this, Karsen, is that I always tell parents, don't feel guilty. I mean, it's not your fault, but I can look at you in the eye and say, I get it because I feel guilty. It's something that I've never been over to overcome. I never will. I mean, I feel that guilt, but advocate, do the right thing, get some respite care, talk to other parents out there, and we will always be there for you because you're right. 1 in 68, we got a new wave of kids coming through, and research is going to be so important for this cause. And I want people to stay open-minded. I'm not going to get into what could cause autism because the fact is simply this. Science hasn't told us what causes autism. I'm going to be very open-minded and wait for science to say with medical certainty, this is what we know it's causing autism. My true hope, my biggest hope, is that one day before I pass, is that I'm able to see what the cause and cure for autism is. And I truly hope it. I think we're making great gains. We have a long ways to go, but I truly hope I can see that day.
I think I could sit here and talk to you all day, and this could go on forever, and it's just so fun and educational just sitting here listening to you, and I appreciate your time. I know your time is money, so I appreciate you're a busy guy, so thank you so much, buddy.
God bless.
Thanks for your friendship. Appreciate it.